各位央视新闻的网友，大家好，我是全国县级融媒体智慧平台。
Hello everyone. I am the reporter from Ruyuan Thai, Pei Wen. So today we are interviewing Ruyuan. I am now standing in the autonomous county called Bibei Yao Village in Guangdong province. Speaking of the name, Bibei Yao Village, it has certain history. It was told when the Yao ethnicity people live in this village, there are some mountains surrounding it, feeling like the back of people. So that's why we call the name Bei, meaning the back. And then we change Bianbei into Bibei, so the name is sustained till today. Bibei Yao Village belongs to Guoshan Yao. Guoshan Yao is one branch of Yao ethnicity. Guoshan Yao people used to live on top of the mountains, and they change from one mountain to the other one based on the conditions. That's why they are called Guoshan Yao ethnicity. Our Yao ethnic people are changing their living conditions across different mountains, and they are scattered across the whole nation. Through different manners, the Yao ethnic people will come back to their birthplaces, even though they may be living in scattered regions in China. And we would see that when they come back to their birthplaces, they could feel their customs and culture. Speaking of the ethnic culture, Yao embroidery is one key feature. My colleague Zhiying is now in the exhibition hall of the Yao embroidery, so now let's enter into the exhibition to see what they're doing. Hello, what are you doing right now? I was now learning from Professor Deng, an inheritor of the Yao embroidery. Hello. You are just doing the embroidery, right? Yes. I learned something special of the embroidery. For example, according to the inheritor, she told me something about the techniques and skills of the Yao embroidery. Let's look at this piece of clothing. This is a pattern about all things living in harmony, and it comes from our lives and our production process. It comes from the nature. You would see the patterns of people, animals, and plants. You could see those are the patterns of people. And of course, of the people patterns, there are males and females. You would see that is the shape of males. And that is the pattern of the female. If you compare the two patterns, they are different. You would see that they wear some beautiful decorations on top of them on the female. And while the male pattern doesn't have that decoration on top. And for Yao embroidery, one other feature is that we are embroidering from the opposite side. For example, we embroider from that side, but when we turn it, you would see the patterns on the opposite side showing the basic look. If you turn each clothing, you would see very well-arranged embroidery formations on the opposite side. And they're very delicate. You just taught me that there are so many different patterns, like the shape of the humans and the shape of animals. So every such pattern may represent something, right? Yes, for example, this pattern represents the human being, and that is the deer and the other animals on the outside circle, and in the middle, in the center, Those are the plants, like the flowers, in green color. So we have human beings and animals on the outside and the plants on the inside. It's just like a collection of different patterns together on this one piece of clothing. What does it symbolize? It symbolizes good fortune and peace and safety, and also whether it's the pattern of animals or the plants or human beings. We don't need a draft. We directly embroider here on the clothing. On the opposite side, do you usually have a very clear idea about what you're gonna do, and then you directly embroider and knit on the opposite side? Yes. Does every female in the ethnic group knows how to do the embroidery? In the past, they all knew how to do this. We used to teach the girls in our ethnic group that if you don't learn how to do the embroidery, the stitches, it's very difficult for you to get married when you grow up. So in the past, almost every girl knows how to stitch. Otherwise, they may fear about not being able to marry into a family. And just now, she also taught me the simplest technique of Yao embroidery. How about, Madam, you could teach Pei Wen again about that stitch work, and then she would learn how to do this. This is called jie-shaped embroidery. Our ancestors used to hunt and farm across the mountains, so they collected a lot of branches and worked together. The female would realize that the safety requires the jobs of those males, and they come back to stitch such a pattern based on the farming and the working conditions. This is the right side and this is the opposite side. It's very well arranged stitches. We have to do this one step after another, and you have to be patient. Like this. You push this needle, and you could count the number of the lines. You take them all together, and you would see the horizontal lines. It has to be starting from the right side to the left side. Starting from the beginning, you have to follow this pattern strictly. And this is where the needle is coming out. You could have a go. All right. As to Yao embroidery, many girls learn. Are there any boys learning how to do this? Yes, we have. We have a classroom. We admit girls and boys. If they apply for the school, we would admit them as our students. It's like a required class for the students in that school. And that school is trying to train the future tourist guide. So if they one day become a guide, and they have to learn something about the embroidery in order to teach the tourists. That's why there are some boys learning the embroidery. Get it? So it means you're actually teaching the classes in order to transmit and pass on these fine embroidery traditions to the future generations. We teach the classes in the schools. We also go to the countryside especially for the girls who are left behind in their families after graduating from the high school. We will collect those girls together to hold a class for them. Could you comment on my work? With your help, I finally finished this one row of stitches. They are correct. Let's look from the opposite side. It's much better here. I missed one stitch here, but it's okay. We could add it up later on. It's very beautiful stitches. Still, I feel it very difficult. How about you, Pei-wen? What are you doing with the stitches? Are you alright? It's rather difficult. I just learned several stitches and I come to this point and I made the wrong move. So I think this stitch is quite different from the other ones. This requires days of training. In your exhibition, I saw so many beautiful works. Could you take us there to have an experience about the beautiful embroidery works, their patterns, and their functionalities? It's okay, let's go. Let's start from this one. Those are the headwears for females, like I've shown you on the embroidery. They put on this headwear. Usually the Yao girls would wear such headwears. And this one is for boys. It's quite fashionable clothes. It doesn't belong to the traditional clothes. It's modern clothes. And that headwear is also representing the modern look of the males in our group. It's very beautiful. It's white in color. Traditionally, we boys would wear yellow on their head, but now it's wearing white. It looks more beautiful. And this one is usually worn by the girls after they finish their marriage ceremony. What about this one? You could wear it this way or that way. And it's quite a fit for my clothes today. I really love it. It is combined of so many ethnic elements. Even the belt is composed of the Yao ethnic features. Those are some other clothes. They are the modern clothes for the girls. And that is for the boys. Do you want to try it on? I really look forward to seeing you in such clothes. How about we each choose one set of clothes and have a feel about the ethnic clothes? How about this one? I pick this one. And I will choose this one. Are those clothes designed specially for certain occasions? We try to keep it simple. Usually we wear those clothes in some festivals. What do you think? You look handsome. Now it's your turn. I look like a local boy right now. Whenever we pay visit to some other countries, like the ASEAN countries, I would be mistaken as a local. And now, when I'm wearing the Yao ethnic clothes and costumes, I look like a Yao boy. It's really warm. It keeps me warm wearing these clothes on. And also, it's quite beautiful. It's fashionable. It feels different wearing these clothes on. It's not just about feeling more confident because of those beautiful colors, and the touches feel good. It's different from the feeling of the silk. It's quite different and unique. And our inheritor is wearing beautiful costume as well. It's like a scarf. It also keeps you warm with the scarf on. Those are very special patterns, right? Usually, when the marriage ceremony is done, the female would wear these patterns on their headwear. All of those several patterns are usually shown on the headwears. And this set of patterns are usually worn on the headwear by the female leaders. And this pattern is usually worn by the staff members on the ceremonies, and also their females. Now we are combining those different patterns together on one clothing and make it a tippet. Wearing this on a daily basis would show others about the traditions and those patterns. And they are arranged orderly. If we wash it, will the patterns come off? It's not gonna be torn. With the days passing by, maybe the cloth would fall apart first, but the embroidery on that cloth will remain there. Thank you for your introduction. We do learn a lot. I don't even want to take these clothes off, but still I have to return it. Thank you again. Also, thank you for coming here. Thank you for the details. You have done so much contribution to the inheritance of Yao embroidery. In the exhibition, we saw those beautiful stitches and we feel the beautiful traditional costumes of ethnic group in Yao Village. How do you feel right now after this visit? I really want to learn the technique of this embroidery. In her works and her patterns, we could feel firsthand about the delicacy and the devotion of the inheritor even as carefree as me, I would feel inspired. And I think if learn something like this, I would improve my skills. And I also heard that it requires a lot of patience and persistence to finish learning such a technique. You need to be very careful. It's just like the craftsmanship that our whole nation is championing. That spirit of craftsmanship is really important. Even though I don't do well just now in the stitches, but I could feel the spirit. And just now, when I put on that costume, I felt suddenly more confident. I don't know why, but maybe that embroidery with those beautiful colors on it would send such a feeling of confidence to the people. Usually, on a daily basis, I don't dare to put on so many colors on myself. Yes, we may not choose so many colors on ourselves, but when they come on us in that traditional costume, it makes me feel spirited and I feel more proud and confident. It's just like a cultural confidence. In Bibei Yao Village, according to my knowledge, all of the staff members here are wearing those traditional costumes. All of them? Yes. That's their usual pick. They would wear the Yao ethnic costumes to receive the tourists and in their post. Next, we are gonna go to a service center in Bibei Yao Village. We will see what they are wearing. We will see whether we are making the right judgment. You see, they're wearing the costumes, beautiful Yao costumes. So you will wear such Yao clothes in your daily work? Yes. Is it voluntary or is it required? Why are you wearing the traditional costume on your job post? It's like one way of passing on the tradition, and it's also an expression of cultural confidence. Exactly, that's what I felt just now about the cultural confidence. I have another question. When there are some Yao locals come to you to reflect some situations, will you speak the local language? Yes, when we are communicating with the locals, we will speak the Yao language, and we can improve the efficiency of our services. Particularly the elderly people. They don't speak very fluent Mandarin, so if you can speak the local language, it's much more convenient. Another question. In addition to speaking the local language and wearing the local clothes, are there any other methods like the activities for you to get closer to the locals? We do hold a lot of activities. For example, the volunteer training programs, and now we're having some performances, cultural and artistic performances right now in the plaza. You could go have a look. They're rehearsing. They will have such daily performances? Yes. Okay, we will go there and have a look. I didn't pay attention to that performance in the plaza. Now I realize they're actually rehearsing for one cultural activity. You could see they're singing and dancing happily. I'm really wondering about this dance. Do you know the name of this dance? That's a piece of cake for me. We are seeing a lot of bamboo pose. Undoubtedly, it's the bamboo pose dancing. Let us interview a lady here. What is the dancing? It's the bamboo pole dancing. All right. In addition to the bamboo pole dancing, are there any other dances that our ladies would love to do? Yes. We have some dances relevant to the farming lives. Are they relevant to our daily lives, or are they just created out of nowhere? It's highly relevant to our daily lives. For example, when we are plowing or spreading the seeds and doing other farming jobs, we would get some inspirations and we put them into our dances. We just beautify the moves when we do the farming jobs and put those moves into the dances. I have a question. There are so many different varieties of dances. Do you know all of them? Can you dance all of them? Yes, I do. For those people dancing right now, are they just villagers who voluntarily choose to get together and have a dance? Or are they coming from one specific organization? They're actually coming voluntarily. In their daily lives, will you come to dance like this frequently? Yes. When they get some free time, we would pick some time and practice the dances together. It feels so good and harmonious. Speaking of that, I actually want to learn the bamboo pole dancing myself. Will the locals invite the visitors to dance together? Yes, we do. It's quite simple. You could join them. It doesn't look simple to me. Could you teach us some moves? Where shall we start? From here. Let's just look for several minutes before joining them. It looks different. I could see the bamboo poles are forming some shapes, like a flower. And you would see they're changing the forms of the bamboo poles. And then they would dance different moves. Are those moves the simplest? Yes, actually. Then we want to join right now. We may get clamped by bamboo poles. But I hear the rhythms. They're quite steady. Even though it looks quite simple, it's rather difficult when I do join them. You would see the ladies, they're enjoying the moves and they're circling. They have to pay attention to their feet and also they can move around. And they have interactions between themselves. Is dancing a preferable way to relieve the pressure of their daily jobs? Yes. If their feet get clamped by the bamboo poles, does it hurt? It doesn't hurt that much. How can I avoid being clamped by the bamboo poles?
带我一下。
你先过去。
好，我先过去啊。
好，来，我们来看一下。哎，我们看到佩文好像已经学会，其实很容易学，是不是，老师？
这是最简单的基础。
这就是最简单的基础。
Those are some basic moves.
我看到佩文好像已经学会了。
I see that Pei Wen already knows how to dance.
还有就是说把竹竿翘起来啊，各种。
是。
Will you lift those bamboo poles? Yes, we have some moves with the poles lifted. You were doing fairly good just now. When there is a lady leading me, it's much easier. Zhenyu, it's your turn. How shall I start? Which foot? the right foot.
我发现只要跟着那个节拍走的话
As long as you follow the rhythms, it's much easier.
只要根据那个古典音乐就可以。
You just hear the drums and you follow the rhythm, then you won't pinch your feet. And when I was dancing just now, I felt happy.
好
We're doing perfectly well.
很开心。我就发现在就是跳这个舞的过程中，就很不自觉的，就是那种觉得心花怒放的感觉。
When I was dancing just now, I felt instantly happier.
哎呀，姐姐突然转圈吓我一跳。
I was startled just now when the lady leading me was circling,
我们在刚刚
so I fell down.
之后发现，就是很多互动啊，有没有觉得？对吧？
There are so many interactions when you're dancing. How are you right now?
就还行是吧？
I'm good. I'm okay.
您体验感觉怎么样？
我觉得就是说，在这样的一个舞蹈
It's not that painful, right? Yes.
我们之前不认识。
I just feel like since I didn't know those locals before joining them, but when I got in, it's so easier to get familiar with those people when we are dancing together.
其实我觉得夹到脚倒不
Did it hurt when you just pinch your feet? Actually, no.
还是就是跳的过程中还是需要掌握。
I think the gentleman holding those bamboo poles may did something to relieve the pain from the bamboo poles when I fell down. I have a question. We know that Yao people really are good at dancing and singing. Would you sing the local songs? Yes, we would sing on a frequent basis. Could you sing several words for us? Here are our microphones.
迈过千古红对
就是简单这么几句，就是我觉得是很悦耳的。
对，特别优美哈。那
It's beautiful
刚才唱的一个那个歌
and
里面是有
elegant.
寓意的吗？
对歌词是什么意思？
就是共产党好，
What are the lyrics meaning?
好的生活。
哇，刚刚那
It's about how the Communist Party of China is helping the Yao people and allowing us to live a better life.
而且特别优美。
Wow, they are composed of so many meanings, and also it's so elegant in the sound. So thank you very much. We will move on to the next site. Thank you. You could keep practicing dancing now.
我们接下来会去到一个就是
Where are we heading right now?
看一看我们一个民居的这样的一个地方。然后其实我想还是想
We will look at some local settlements.
在跳主干舞的过程中一个就是身体情况没有
Still, I have some question about you. You just fell down. Are you still feeling good?
广大网友也会担心
It's a shame on me, but I'm okay.
心疼我们的帅哥
Maybe our viewers are really worried about you right now. No, they don't have to be. I am perfectly well physically. And when I was learning dancing, I realized that dancing doesn't look that easy. It requires our physical strength. Those are some locals doing the embroidery. All Yao embroidery.
对，我们
各
看到
有各的样式啊。
都是反面绣。
They each have their own patterns. They all start from the opposite side.
在一个广场这里去聚集，就是给我们一种
You know, they are gathering together in a plaza, singing and dancing. It looks quite a harmonious picture. The whole village looks quite harmonious to us, quite different from the urban areas. Usually in urban areas, when we get off our work, we would just close our doors and stay in our homes. But now they are gathering in the plaza, doing some activities together, even talking together.
进来就看到
It feels quite harmonious atmosphere. Now we are entering their dwellings. We would see that on the facade of their buildings, they would have some unique shapes like this pattern.
这个图腾它其实就是
What is the essence of that totem?
据我了解，这个图腾它是有一个
According to my knowledge,
的意思。这个图腾的意思呢，就是
that totem represents good fortune.
梧桐树的文
is actually the shape of a tree called Chinese parasol. You put those beautiful patterns on their new dwellings to represent some good wishes. So traditions are passed on in those buildings. It's a two-story building. Speaking of that structure, I can give you some more information about the previous dwellings of Yao locals. It's quite different from this new village. Previously, they're living scattered in different places of one mountain. Like some people live in the mid of the mountain, some others on top of the mountain, and they usually build their houses with wood. On the second floor, it's used for living, and below that floor, it's empty with just some wood poles supporting the framework. And also in that first floor, they would keep some animals like poultry or pigs. And if the people live on the second floor with the first floor raising animals, then they can avoid the moisture. And in the summer season, the heat would be immune from the second floor. So that's quite a smart choice. If there is any opportunity, you would choose to come on top of the mountains to look at those wood-structured buildings. They're kept perfectly well there.
在了解完之后啊，除了瑶秀以外，我觉得高脚炉也像是我们的一个
I think that special high raising buildings are the results of the local wisdom. Their buildings and dwellings are quite unique.
然后你可以去看一下这边的辣椒，其实是我们这边瑶族当中就是非常
Those are
著名的一个
chilies.
美食，叫做公坑辣椒。
Dried
这
chilies.
是公坑辣椒。
对，
It's called Gongkeng chilies, very famous local specialty.
在公坑这个地方种出来的辣椒叫公坑辣椒。
Gongkeng is the name of a place, so the chilies planted and grown in Gongkeng is called Gongkeng chilies.
一起去就是一起努力去研制的这样的一个品种，试种成功的这样一个品种。
They studied that special
非常适合我们
variety of chili together with Yao people, and such chili is a preferable food for the local climate. For example, because of the height above sea level is quite cold, so chili would give them some warmth. And you would see the shapes of the chili. It's different from the usual chili. It looks quite like eggplant. Do you feel some fragrance? It smells different from the usual chili we are eating. It's quite fragrant. And it also smells quite like the smoke. The yield is not very high. Because of the low yield, that's why it's pricey. Because of the rareness, it's much more costly. Will the visitors take some Gongkeng chili after their tour? Yes, they will. Usually they would choose voluntarily to buy some chili back to their hometown. I could feel the fragrance of the tea. You could feel the scent. Are those teas just picked up this morning? Yes, this morning. They're frying the tea. Are those tea planted on top of the mountains? Yes, they come from our own doing, from the top of the mountain. I heard that we have videotaped a film about you guys picking up the tea on top of the mountains. Now we will show our viewers about what they're doing, picking up the tea on top of the mountain. You could look at the process. After picking up the tea, we will take them here to cook it. And usually this big pot has very high temperature. Even though it's very hot, we are accustomed to that temperature, so we would use our hand to cook the tea, and we can avoid touching the bottom of the pot. The whole process is done with our hands, from picking up to cooking and drying and grinding. After grinding the tea, what are you gonna do? We are gonna put those tea back to the hot pot to dry them. You can have a look. Those are already done. You could see they are shrinked. They are totally dried. Will you drink after finishing the drying process? Yes, after finishing the cooking, we would make the tea to invite the visitors to have a try of the taste. Thank you. Let's have a try. The color is light, but when I drink it, I could taste the scent. It's like that beautiful and delicious taste is left in my tongue. After grinding, he is cooking again. The second round of cooking. Why do we need to grind the tea after cooking? We just want the tea to have the perfect shape with the grinding. We will do another round of cooking, and then they are finished. We can cook it until they are dried. We don't put them under the sunshine to dry the tea. We cook them to dry them. What's the difference between the two ways of drying the tea? Will they taste different? Yes, they taste different. If we cook them until they are dried, it's much more delicious. After the cooking with high temperature, the fibers in the tea will be treated in the high temperature, and when you make the tea, the scent will come back to your tongue. It's a local feature about cooking the tea with the hands. Thank you for your introduction, and also thank you, Pei Wen, for leading me here. It's really a blow of my mind. The local tea are grown in the local mountains. In such a beautiful environment, I think the tea will grow in a perfect environment, so they will taste better. You know that in this place we have a big temperature difference in the morning and in the evening. Usually in such an environment, the food planted here would be more sweet. That's quite relevant to the local conditions. In such a beautiful village, it's not just about the environment. We have treasures here, and also perfect air quality. Ahead of us, we are seeing something special right now. They're actually making the glutinous rice cake. In that container is the rice cake. Does it require a lot of efforts? You can have a try. Is it heavy, this wood stick? I can't lift it very high up. How about I do this job? Are there any skills for doing that? You have to stand in this way. with your two legs split.
哦，就是说
And also you
单一
have
水就是没有那么
to
容易
降
粘到
低
这个木上，
粘度
好，然后就
put that wood stake in the water to reduce
哦，就是我
the
跟对
degree
面这位大哥配合这样子。
of
这个
that
画面好
stickiness
和谐。
of the
我觉得
rice
大哥
cake.
冲的时候都是
And
有
you
冲
two
声的，然后我私下
cooperate
就是没有
with
声
each
音
other.
就得到
I
这
could
样
hear the bang bang sound when they smash the wood stick into the container. But when I am doing the smashing, the sound is not that big.
那其实我问一下，为什么要这样？
Usually, after several moves, we would stick again
反复的捶打。
with water. Why are we doing the smashing again and again? To make the glutinous rice cake, we have to do the smashing for many times.
原材料啊是什么呢？
它是糯米做成的。
What is the raw material?
在我们这个
It's the
地方
sticky
以
rice.
前是没有那个，现在也是有人起翻，因为以前遗传下来的这样，没有那个磨粉的那个机械，
啊，
最好是用这个来。
We don't have the grinding machine, so we have to use the smashing tools to grind the sticky rice.
然后它就体现出这种。
And then we will decorate and wrap up the rice cake in
色对，应该是黑色的。
with the sesame, the black sesame, so it looks black from the outside.
这个芝麻去捣碎是吧？哦，起到这样的一个。
You would also smash the sesame, and also the smell of the sesame would be released when they wrap up the rice cake. It's not finished.
好嘞，好嘞
I have some finished products inside. You could go and have a taste.
非常重。这个
Okay,
真的真的
thank you. It's very heavy wood.
行。
Let's follow the
做
gentleman.
好的糍粑是吗？
This is his home. We will see the finished glutinous rice cake.
吃饭了哦。
Hello,
不好
everyone.
意思打扰了啊。
You're having lunch. Sorry for the interruption.
哦，这个就是那个
这个就是
冲
已经冲好的
糍粑。
糍粑，就是说，
哦，
行，那我们
这个糍
This is the
粑
finished
是
rice cake.
裹的全是芝麻吗？
对对对，外表的都是。
They are wrapped up with sesame on the outside. That's why it looks
然后
black.
就是蒸熟的糯米。
对，刚才冲的那个糍粑。
And on the inside,
裹的
it's
然后把它做成
the
一个圆
well-cooked
形
rice
这个
cake.
就是随意捏。
And they are in the round shape.
可以品尝一下。
啊，我们对试一下，你试一下，我看你吃
Have a try.
怎么样，口感怎么样？
What do you think of it?
有一股很香的芝麻的味道，然后呢，里面的糯米不知道是不是因为经过反复的捶打。
Yummy sesame on the outside, and on the
对，
inside,
应该是
we
反
have
复地捶打它会
sticky rice.
对对对。
那一般我们吃这个还会就是说，
And I
沾一点
think
别的调料
because
还
of
是就是直
the
接这样
long time of smashing, this sticky rice
就是趁热
is
吃这样子
quite tasty.
它放了
It has
好像
high
你
degree
放
of chewiness.
加热以后它才能够软。
哦。
Usually we have to eat the rice cake when they are hot.
对对，要不去
When they are cooling down, it's hotter.
不
哎哦，
含这个吃
对，
了。
说到瑶族的美食，我差点忘了给志颖介
我
绍一个，
手里还有一
就是
块瑶族美食。
对，我们这儿
Speaking
就是
of
大
the
哥家
local
今天刚好
food
煮了那个瑶族的美食啊
我们
啊，我们
Let's
坐在
look
外面
at
就可以
what they
了
are eating.
哦
Have a
谢
seat.
谢。
谢谢。
我们还就是享受了一个贵宾的待遇啊。啊，
It's like
这个志颖我跟你
VIP.
说，刚才那个瑶族的美食就是这个瑶族的这个腌肉，这个腌肉是我们这边瑶族的一
See?
个
The local
美食
preserved meat.
就是它跟我们
It's also a local specialty.
腊肉不一样。
啊，大哥，我们这个瑶族的腌肉就是做法
They're
有什么考
different
究
from
吗？
our
这个
preserved
也有
meat.
我们养
What
那个
is the
猪
special
一
thing
般在
about
山里
your
面养猪
meat?
都要1年以上，养的时间越长呢，它那个肉质就比较厚。
We cook the meat with pigs that have been raised for over 1 year,
它比较
so
肥然后
their skin
一般
is
冬至以后
thicker
把它
and they're fatter.
杀下以后就通过盐来
After killing the pigs in the wintertime, we will use the salt
大概一个礼拜
as
就
the
放在
sauce
那个我们里
for the pork, and after 1 week,
放在煮饭的那个灶台上，然后呢，
we would put that pork on top of the stove.
去熏它。
腌生，然后我们一般煮都要配置一些这个 19菜，
And
它也是一种野菜
we
类，
would
而且因为它这个腌制呢，它是
smoke
热
the
的
meat,
这个
and
是凉
also we
的
would
它
add
调
some local vegetable into the pork because of the two different temperatures. The pork is very hot in nature, and we add the local vegetable. They are cold in nature, so when we put the two together, they could
而且这个
make
这个韭菜
people
它
healthy.
滋阴补肾的一个好料。
韭菜又滋阴补肾，这个菜是完美的结合了。
对，非常好。
Usually, the vegetable we choose is the flowered garlic, the Chinese chips.
是吗？
对，
蒸熟的糯米，然后就是拿去配置一下。
然后就制成它，大概是一个礼拜就可以了。
哦，就整个发酵过程就
所以在一个礼拜。
哎，我
你尝
我
一下吧。
们闻到非常的
The
香，
alcohol is
其实
fermented
而且它
for
的
about
酒
1
的
week.
颜色就是有
It's very
一点点
fragrant.
的米白色，就是跟
喝一下。
And it looks like the color of
是
beige.
喝下去之后有一
It's sweet.
苦的感觉，对，是有一种苦的感觉，然后
所以它就
It's
因为有带
sweet.
甜又有点苦，它就叫苦
And
爽
at the same time, it's a little
叫做
sour,
爽酒，
啊。
挺有特色的。
and it's a little bitter. That's why we call this the bitter alcohol. It's very famous in Ruyuan. I haven't tasted the bitter alcohol before, and now I know why it's so well known.
我突然想起来
Let's have a
我
toast.
们是，我们学一个，我们今天录的这个节目叫《最美乡村》嘛。
啊对
那最美乡村是怎么说？最美乡村用我们的谣话怎么说呀？
Our film today is called The Most Beautiful Village. How do you say those words in the local
最美乡
language?
村，再重复一次，大哥一个人说就可以了。
最
Again, the most beautiful village in the Yao language.
边村
那我们加一个口号吧，乳源在这儿，就连着一句怎么说呀？
最最面村
How do we speak with
大
Ruyuan
哥，你再说一次，
最最
in the local language?
医院烟奶
最准
面村医院烟奶
烟奶，
医院烟奶
最准面村
医院烟奶啊。
啊，
学会了吗？
学会了，
啊，那我
我觉得非常。
大哥你再
You
教
got
我一次
it?
最最面
Yes.
村
How about you teach me again?
医院烟奶
一年烟奶，
医院烟奶
一年烟奶。哦，我感觉这个就是感觉就是听起来是比较难，我觉得那个音节发音好像我是觉得比较难的。
It sounds so difficult to learn the local language, the local pronunciation. The local pronunciation is quite a difference from
发
Mandarin.
音就不太容易掌握。我们再学一次，然后大家我们就一起举杯，好不好呀？我们再
The
学一次
syllables are difficult to pronounce. Now let's learn again before our toast.
医院烟奶
哦，好，那我们就一起
一起来
敬各位网友了，敬我们各位观众朋友。
好的，好的，好的。
好，
来，3、2、1，
最最
Now let's have a toast to everyone.
好，谢谢大家。
干杯
那
好
我们就坐下来试一下。
好，谢谢。那我们
确实
过去哈，
确实
了吧？哦，
啊，那
确实很不错。
这个菜很丰富啊。
我们瑶村呢有
Enjoy the meal.
有客人来，我们要先开始每次之前要先夹菜，
哦，
哦，
这样子。
意思就是我
We have a custom. If we have a guest here, we would pick the food for our
处处
customers.
皆礼节，处处。
It's like local courtesy.
生活当中啊，到处都是礼节呀，
然后都是智慧。
对，那
Yes, in the daily lives of the Yao people, we could find such
谢
etiquette
谢，谢谢，谢谢。
everywhere.
开吃了。
So thank you all for your hospitality. Let's enjoy the meal. We also want to thank our viewers for watching. Thank you.
注意啊。
大连拿。
不